Hey everybody, welcome to day 6 and episode 31 of the Curved Tri-Tail Tuner build. Um, let's see, I spent about 6 hours this morning trying to figure out control layout. Last thing I did yesterday was I decided on the black for the pick guard material or control panel, whatever you want to call it. And so then I spent about 6 hours a day trying to figure out exactly how the control should be laid out and stuff. And I started out with like, okay, you should probably not have anything closer to the body than about here where this tape is. And then I said, okay, well, let's just, go down a line and put them that way. And I measured out, appropriate spacing on your typical minimum spacing on your typical guitar for how close stuff would be. And it turned out to be like 245 millimeters for the whole stretch of controls, which is like, let's see, there's 24. So that would bring the controls like big panel all like here, just in a row. And that didn't look so great or sound so great. I suppose I could do, maybe a triangle that went like that and then kind of like that and like that, and then have all the controls in a row right there. That'd be very ergonomic. The one concern I had was the last control is the jack, and putting it this far out might get in the way of your leg. Normally I put them somewhere up here or somewhere, and it's not an issue. Plus, also being that far out from the body, the whole thing dragging on the guitar could cause balance issues. So, and then the problem with putting the jack down here somewhere is that the way it's set up right now, the pickup's going to be right here, so you'll just have like one little wire, and all you got to do is run it down here to this bar and run along the back of the bar up to the panel. And then you can just, and then all switches just be here. These switches are, yeah, these are some deep suckers, and they're 50 millimeters wide, so I gotta work around that. I really probably the right thing to do would be to get online, order the little DPDTs, which are pretty much the same size as this SPDT, and it's a little fatter, and it's got 6 terminals instead of 3. And I should wait for those to come in and then make the panel that way, and I could probably squeeze more stuff in even smaller, make it, I don't know. I could always do it, so it's not that big a deal. This will get it going, and if it turns out nice enough, then I don't really have to mess with it, right? So. But anyway, so what I came up with was, first I tried to space them out, and they ended up all the way down here, and I was worried about the cord at the end and stuff. So I was like, okay, what's more or less the minimum spacing I can get away with? And that worked out to about this long. So like from here to here. Of course, I could also say, well, I can get a little closer here if I want to make it so you got to kind of reach down this way. This way, it was like, if you were playing and then you went for the kill, that would be like the easiest place for it. So that would be where the kill would go, and then I was just stringing the rest along. So yeah, at the minimum, I was still looking at something kind of big. So then I was like, okay, what if I start stacking them up? Instead of putting them all in a row like this, what if I like take these two guys and put them this way, and take these two guys and put them that way, kind of thing. And that got me not a lot, really. And then finally I was like, well, wait a sec, let me turn them this way. And then that got a little smaller. And then finally I was like, let's do it this way. And I took the kill switch and I moved it up above the volume. The A and B are now above each other. These guys are mounted vertically, so they take up less space this way. And then you got your jack. And I got it down to the distance center line to center line from the beginning to end is only 80 millimeters. And the area that you need behind it for like what would be the equivalent of the control cavity is only 100 millimeters. So it's really not bad. So then I took this, and this basically is a little template of the area you would need behind it for the control cavity. So wherever this goes, it's got to be in here somewhere. It can't be over the bar, it can't be under the body or anything like that. There's got to be empty space behind it for all the controls to hang out. So then I was like, okay, now I know how big an area I need for my controls. Now I can say, okay, they're going to go here somewhere. And then I started thinking about, okay, well, that's basically the control cavity. Now I can put whatever kind of plate over I want over the front of it for a control panel. And so with that, I came up with this. And I think this is going to be the shape of the control panel. And the idea is that it just goes right on the front of the bar, just like that. And then these guys go roughly here. Kind of a thing. And then it's glued to the front of the bar here. And then at the back, on the back, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is it's already glued to the bar here, so it really only needs support up here. And I was thinking, I tried all kinds of different shapes and triangles and all kinds of stuff, but in the end I think just a disc is going to look best to hold. This is all you really need, is just something about that much. It covers about that much to support this end of it. And out of everything I tried, I was thinking that a disc may be done in aluminum, because this is going to be the black plastic, and then this is going to be stained purple, and that's going to be stained purple. So I was thinking maybe just a disc of aluminum right there to support the plate, and then your controls are like down in this area. And I was thinking that might work. Now, I haven't even begun to think about the possibility of covering it from the back, because it's not really practical, to tell you the truth. I mean, the stuff is so much deeper than the rest of the guitar that you'd have to basically build a box kind of thing in order to cover the back and put the electronics inside a box here. So I don't really see the point in that. I mean, it'd be cool if I had, like, you know, a little electronics project box that I could that was just the right size. And I could just, like, take everything and mount the box to the back of the pickup, wherever the controls were going to go, and then from the front side just drill through the box. Yeah, basically you'd have a box about this size where the controls are going to go, and you just, yeah, you drill this thing, or maybe glue the box on, maybe cut the bottom off the box. There you go. Nah, it'd probably be easier to just take the box, glue it on. You can open the top so that you can get at the controls, and then just drill through the pick guard, and then just treat it like a little control cavity. But I don't have any boxes, so that might have to wait for, you know, the next build or whatever. Which way is this guy? This way. Yeah. So that's the general plan, and I guess it's time for me to start cutting some plastic. I'll be back. Okay, got them marked out. Kind of hard to see, black on black. There's one line. There's the curve for the body there. So, yeah, there's our shark fin, and then this is the flat edge that goes on the bar side. So, time for some quality time with the coping saw. I'll be back. I just marked this out by taking the back side. This is the front side. This is the back side. So I put the back side up, took the template and flipped it so that the back side was up, and then drew it out on the back side of this. That way there'll be no lines on the front. I'll cut this out. This is actually wider than this curve is supposed to be, so that I can then finish it by hand to make it match the body. And yeah, so once I flip it around, it'll actually flip everything around. Yeah, it's going to go like this kind of a thing. And yeah, that's how I marked it out. And then I just, I slapped the cardboard down and just traced it out with the Sharpie, and then made sure to leave like an extra, I don't know, 3 mil, 1/4 inch kind of thing edge here, an 1/8 or 1/4, 2 to 3 mil, so that for final finishing. I'll be back. Some of the other control layouts that I did consider was like the triangle kind of thing and clustering them down here, but once again, being too close to the picking area was a concern. I also thought about putting them down here somewhere past your leg, and I also thought about putting up here on the left horn area, even though there's no left horn. But in the end, I ended up with the option that I just showed you. So I got to cut some plastic. Yeah, might as well cover the fourth quadrant here. As you can see, I ended up with the upper right. This is another traditional place to put controls. I also consider them up here like the three-way on a Les Paul kind of a thing. That's a viable spot, but I'd say that probably this is more ergonomic back here than that. This is, if you can't go back here, this isn't a bad choice up here. But most guitars aren't really set up for that, I guess you'd say. And back here, that's where your arm goes. So yeah, that's the one I forgot to mention. That one was a no starter because that's where your arm goes. So I'm going to cut some plastic now. Well, it's not pretty, but it's a rough cut. So there's line. Yeah, going to have a bit of sanding to still do. Maybe a rasp or something will work. File or something. This one's a lot closer. So yeah. 60 grit in the electric sander, I think. Try that. I'll be back. Okay, the coarse side of the Shinto makes pretty quick work of this outside curve. This inside curve, I got the router bit on the router style Dremel bit on the Dremel, and I'm gonna try that. Yeah, the Dremel actually works like twice as fast as the Shinto does on the outside. So I need to get this under some good light and spend some detail time, get this hog down closer, and then I'll come in with the sander on both of them for final fit and curve. Okay, Shinto rasp on the outside curve, Dremel on the inside curve, and I've got them all pretty much up to the original lines. So from here on, I just 60 grit it. Okay, I got it close. If you hold it up, to light, you can still see just a little gap, but it's an even gap at least. Hey, right? So yeah, this should be good enough. And I guess the next part is I need to make my aluminum disc that'll go on the back side here. So I'll be back. How much time we got? 14 minutes. Okay, it took some digging, but I found both the aluminum and what's left of my brass. So I'm thinking I'm going to go brass for the disc. So other than that, once I get the brass cut out and shaped or whatever, I'm thinking that it's probably going to be easier drill this thing before I glue it, and then I can. Yeah, so there's pick guard. These guys go somewhere about like there, or wherever I want. I mean, I've got everything from here, along here to here. I've got all this to work with, and I can more or less arrange the stuff any way I want. Don't want it too close up here, so it's all more or less going to have to be kind of down here. But yeah, I can fuss with this a bit if I want. But yeah, I suppose I could think about it some more now. I'm more well defined about what space I've got to work with. But once I get the brass fabbed up, I'm thinking drill this before glue it. Then whatever I end up with, I can make something like this with actual holes in it that I can mount the switches through. Then flip it over, wire the whole thing, then take it out of the cardboard, and this thing will then, but this will be drilled and glued in, and then I can just take the stuff and pop it in here that way. And I think that's the approach I'll take. So yeah, and then all I got to do is then I got to, and basically this will be a pre-wired board at that point. I suppose I could drill it, put all the components in, wire it up, and then glue it on. It's probably better to glue it on without the stuff in it, might be easier. And then yeah, so once I put them on cardboard, pre-wire it here, transfer them to this thing that's already been pre-drilled and is already glued on. Yeah, so I pre-wired on the cardboard, transfer it to the control panel, and then all I have to, and that'll be basically everything except for the pickup. Yeah, so at that point I've got a pre-wired control panel. Yeah, that's the point I was trying to get to this whole time, is that yeah, once I reach that point, this glued in, this drilled, and these transfer from here to here, then I've got a pre-wired control panel, and all I got to do is just run the pickup to it, and it's already got a jack and everything. So that'll be very cool, and that'll take care of the electronics. And then strap locks. Let's see, it's looking balance-wise like I can probably get away with a strap lock back here at the very end of the neck, which means that you'll be able to get your hand all the way up here if the strap is like here or something. And that'll still be an okay balance point for when you're playing standing up, apparently. And then obviously the other one's going to go back here. And yeah, that'll cover it for the strap locks. Let me check, see what else is left. Yeah, that's just about it. I need to put the locks on the locking nut. I've got a hold down bar for it. I don't know if you can see that through the bag. Yeah, there's a hold down string retainer bar. But I'm not so sure it really needs it. It might be overkill. I mean, it's got, yeah, it doesn't need it. That's plenty of good brake angle there for the, get a good angle. Yeah, see, that's plenty of good brake angle for the back end of the lock nut. It just has to be a sharp enough brake angle that you ensure that the back end of the string is touching the back end of the nut, because these are actually curved. So you can touch the front, but if you don't have enough brake angle, and that's what the string retainer bar is for, it's guaranteed you do. If you don't have enough, then the back will not touch, and when you clamp down the lock, it will pull the string sharp, and you go out of tune. And then you got to futz with your micros down at this end off Lloyd Rose usually. So yeah, but this has plenty of brake angle already behind the nut or above the nut. So It doesn't look like it really needs a retainer bar. It doesn't really. No, they all have the same brake angle. It's, you know, a good healthy 30-degree brake angle. So, and yeah, remember, it was good enough to hold this nut in place because the nut was floating at one point. Yeah, I'd say it has plenty of brake angle, so we can put this back in the parts box for the next build. And so yeah, I got to fab up a brass disc here. I got to figure out exactly how big to make it. It's got to be big enough to get to support this thing, but don't want to make it huge and look ugly. So, and about the only other thing I can see is that the ends of the strap, of course, using strap locks, will need to be gouged out with a chisel, like a round carving hollow chisel thingy, in order to enlarge the holes on the ends. And so yeah, this is getting there. Electronics will take a little while to wire up, but all right, let's see. Yeah, I gotta make a disc. I'll be back. Took forever to find something round and about the right size that didn't have something bumpy, something sticking out on it, but finally found something here. So yeah, cap off of linseed oil, gallon can. Time for the aviation shears. Not much to this really. Just want to like come in close, but not right there. I can trim it up once I get the work loose from the sheet. Notice I'm not snipping all the way to the end, because that'll leave a mark. Just go slow and even pressure. Try not to bend things up too much as you're going. Is the camera catching this? Yeah. There it is. Okay, that's rough cut roundish as best I can do by hand. So now clean up the edges with the sander. Okay, so that's the basic idea there, and guess the next thing to do is figure out exactly where I want to put the controls and drill the holes for that. I'll be back. As far as like cleaning up the disc and stuff goes, I'm going to wait until after I finish the guitar. You know, it'll all be glued up and stuff, so I'll probably have to mask some things off when I finish it. But after I've finished it, I can go in and just polish that up with some very fine grit sandpaper, and then I also have micro polishing cloths. So that's the plan for that. Okay, I masked off the section of the control plate that has the wood bar under it. So what's not masked off is what I've got to play with, minus this bit here where the disc is going to be. I'm just kind of setting this here to remind me. And so yeah, except for a little bit, you know, about that much for the disc, I've got all the rest of this. Everything you see now in black is what I've got to work with in order to figure out how I want to exactly arrange these. I could just, you know, slap it there and call it a day, but I might be able to make it a little nicer. So I'm going to think about it a bit, and I'll be back. I put a piece of tape on it and traced out approximately where the disc is going to be, right behind it here. So yeah, the bar will be behind it down here where the blue tape is, and then this little half circle here will have the disc under it. So the brass, sorry. And then all the rest is what I got to work with, so I'll be back. Okay, this is tracing, and that piece of tape. This end of the tape more or less marks, if you want to keep stuff away from the strings, you go past the tape. Everything past here is safely away from the strings. if you want to push it a little bit, you can go to like this end of the tape or halfway between the tape and the body, somewhere right around where my finger is. And as long as all the controls are on that side, it's not too close to the strings, and I don't anticipate any interference problems. So this is where these two marks fall on this diagram. So optimally everything goes back here, but obviously the control panel's not big enough. So if we go here, it's pretty close to big enough. So I'm thinking I'll just like go like that. And what I'll do is the series parallel switch here is going to be more or less the critical thing. So I suppose what I can do is, one of them is 50 millimeters and the other is a little under. So I can use like the smaller of the two, get it right up near the edge of the pick guard, and then locate everything off of that. Because these are all spaced 20 millimeters apart this way. And I think those are 30 and these are 20, maybe 30. I'd have to look at the other picture. But anyway, yeah, so I think I'm just going to go with this, which means it's going to look more or less like that kind of a thing. So the controls will all go like right there, and that'll be the jack right there, and the leg bar will be this blue tape under here. So yeah, that kind of thing, and then the disc will be up here. So I think that'll work, and that keeps it away from the strings, but you still got your kill nice and close. Your volume's pretty close too, and you still get it. You can get it everything. So all right. That's the plan. So next step is to mark it out, I guess, on the back actually. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, well, I know how they all go, so I guess I'll lay some tape over it and start marking it out. Alright, let's see, I gotta mark this out, and then I'll drill it, and then these need slots, so I guess I'll like drill a small hole small enough to get a coping saw blade in there. I don't know, I'll figure out something. And then yeah, so got some marking and some drilling and cutting to do here. Let me we're already at almost 28 minutes, so I guess that'll be the next video. It'll be marking, cutting, and drilling the control panel. Until then, everybody, have a good one.